But before that, let's go to get Paul Turner as he shares a prospect for peace pertaining the internal conflict rocking Sudan right away.
I think one of the really key areas worth exploring when we look at Sudan is the role of external actors. And clearly the United States plays a big one. The United States has been involved in Sudan for quite some time and has been lately the largest donor in humanitarian assistance, contributing more than $1 billion since the 2023 fiscal year began. Also, I think since 9/11 in the United States, a lot of our interactions around the world were really changed and transformed as a result of the need to broker new alliances in the war against terror. And that led the U.S. to a very complex relationship with Sudan. But it ended up being quite productive and fruitful if you could also recognize the fact that the U.S. was applying sanctions on Sudan at the same time. So those interests have continued as information sharing and operations have been shared between Sudan and the United States. Beyond that, I know that the United States has a real key interest in the stability of Sudan because obviously it has a knock-on effect across the entire region. So not only has the latest crisis destabilized Sudan itself, but it's created massive refugee flows across the region and to some extent placed significant strains on the global burden as the world is working to try and address the challenges of refugees worldwide. The other challenge, I think, is as the United States looks to promote regional stability, probably the biggest impact of the war in Sudan has been the increasing stress that it has placed on South Sudan. Just this last year, the Fund for Peace has finished our analysis on our Fragile States Index, and Sudan placed second in the world as the second most fragile country globally. That's not something to be excited about or proud of, and Sudan has been struggling for quite some time, but it's gotten worse. And I think that there are promising prospects for peace, but they remain quite a challenge to achieve and will require many things arriving and working in unison together to change the tide.
Coming back to you, Meki, both sides, when we're looking at the conflict in Sudan, both sides, the National Army and the Rapid Support Forces militia have actually committed crimes, and both, of course, have also claimed the other side started the war. How can we reach a compromise where the side B would not blame side A for being the initiator of the war, but rather looking at a common ground to solve the political upheavals and actually indirectly solve the humanitarian crisis that has rocked Sudan since the start of the crisis?
The issue of equating and comparing SAF with RSF and try to blame both sides, as happening now in some media. What I want to comment on that, or what I want to say, that the United Nations, the African Union, even United States, and all Sudanese international friends and even enemies, all of them confirmed that RSF committed a horrible wave of genocide in Darfur. So we need to focus on the major crime, then we move to uncover all the list of the problems and the crimes happening in the war. It is genocide, and it is ongoing genocide, and now they are preparing to get into Al-Fashir, the major city in Darfur, and to practice genocide and to take the city and to declare their parallel government as a card of pressure in the negotiation. The problem in Sudan issue, if someone wants to defend RSF against the crimes of RSF against humanity and the genocide, they will never do it that clearly. That is happening now among the activists, even in some democratic countries in Europe and United States. When they want to defend RSF crimes against humanity and the genocide, they will never do that clearly. They start by putting genocide at the same level with other crimes. And that is wrong. You cannot compare genocide that is happening now, targeting African groups, killing them, killing their babies, taking them out of their villages, burning their homes. You cannot compare that with some mistakes happen within the war. So what I deny is not some crimes happening by individuals or by mistakes of from the National Army, but what I deny is equating incident attributed to the army and their individuals with serial and systemic crimes committed by the militia and its gangs. I reject this as a general and fundamental rule. That is not equal. We should focus on the genocide, and when we come to the other crimes committed by the RSF, other crimes committed by rebel groups or armed groups, by SAF, that could be put in another category. As a general rule, we cannot accept that saying that both sides committed crimes. We should focus on the genocide and give the people and the souls and the innocent souls that massacred and killed and by the RSF, we give them the human value that they deserve. We can take the crimes committed by individuals attributed to the SAF, which is the Sudanese Armed Forces, or NPR, which is the National Popular Resistance. We take it case by case, and we can answer them case by case. But we should give more focus on the genocide that practiced by RSF. And there should be a punishment and sanction that matching with the crime that they are practicing now currently. The situation now in Al-Fashir is simply, as I mentioned and I explained, because they want to go again to the negotiation table in Jeddah or in another place, and they want to use a new city and a new parallel government to the existing government as a card of pressure, and then they sit on the table saying that we have our own government and Burhan has his own government, and we should divide Sudan into two. Then people will start focusing on the politics and the two governments and the solution, and forget what they have done already to get inside Al-Fashir by killing people.